All right, another week, another day around the trash can. Your host Matthias with the boys.
John.
And Will.
Oh, it's a very, I would just say, light day today. You guys ready to just jump into this?
Yeah, lots of pre-orders though, so it should be fun to talk about.
That is
Indeed.
true.
And there's some interesting stuff to talk about within those pre-orders too. At least one very interesting thing to talk about.
Ooh.
Well, we got something else that dropped last week in the video game section. We got some more Total War news, which was basically just like a new little game mode that they're gonna add. Why showing up? There we go. Alright, something's wrong. But, it's a survival mode where you're going to be assaulting the lands of the Chaos Gods. It's going to be pretty interesting. I didn't think they were going to go this route. Even though I knew it was going to be heavily Chaos influence, given the initial trailer they showed. But they showed off basically just the whole Survivor kind of deal. And a little bit more of the units.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead,
Oh,
Will.
by all means. Sorry, I cut you off.
No worries. I was gonna say that I mean it's kind of cool. I think it's cute. And for people who know me, when I say cute, I mean when I say something's cute, it means that unless it's actually like a cat or something, right? But if it's cute, it's like it's cool, but it's not like, oh man, that's awesome, it's amazing. It's like, yeah, that's kind of cool. I'm interested, but I'm not like, it doesn't hype the game for me. I mean, for me, what hypes the game is the fact that it's just more Total War. Like they could like just by seeing the new factions is already hyping me. So this the survival thing, like it's cool that it's there. I don't think it hurts the game or makes the game better in for me. I do get why it's there because there from a lot of gamers, you want to create new content in the gameplay department. You can't just reskin green skins, or sorry, reskin dwarves and say they're chaos dwarves and people will be happy, stuff like that, or reskin empire with bears and call it Kislev. So adding new gameplay stuff is, I can see that, but again, doesn't really, that itself doesn't hype me, just but seeing like new corn stuff hypes me.
Mm.
um
Well, it was
I
just
think
nice to see all the new stuff. Sorry.
and all good. Actually, I would say I think a new game mode is equally exciting. Just because something that like it proves that they're not just willing to just sort of sit on their haunches and just like adapt the stuff that they're expected to. I mean, obviously, they're working with, as they've said on the Warhammer community articles as well, like they're working with Forgeworld and Games Workshop to like design the Cathay and Kislev armies, which suggests that those are going to be things that Forgeworld is going to want to tackle for Old World whenever that happens. But like the when Total War Two came out with the Vortex campaign, which was like an alternative way to sort of play through a Total War campaign. Like for me, I think that was really cool, just because it was like, hey, this is not just it's not just an expansion. Like this is we made a whole other numbered game, and like we're gonna try to add more than just the stuff you would expect in terms of like gameplay structure. But I mean, obviously, the new units are that's the thing. That's the thing people are coming for, right? Like the brand is a big part of why this project has been successful. But I think it's cool to see them trying new things as well.
Well, gotta experiment for all their other Total War games that they might do when they start jumping more into all the other fantasy stuff. Oops.
AOS.
AOS, maybe. We'll see.
That'd be amazing.
I mean, this is the end of the Total Warhammer trilogy, so it'd be the next logical step, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're right up against the wall. They're making new stuff that technically existed within the setting to kind of pad it out. Pad it out seems to have that sort of has a negative connotation. But like they kind of have run out of obvious things to put in without just creating stuff whole cloth, and they've kind of done that already. Norska and the probably getting the army name wrong, but like the Vampire Coast Army, those are largely like Creative Assembly invented those rosters and kind of turned them into their own thing. Like there was bare bones there, but like not nearly the detail and
Yeah.
design that they put into it.
It's a shame we didn't get a Dogs of War faction kind of deal.
They still could do that. That's kind of, but like that's sort of as
We,
they're hitting the borders of what already existed.
true.
Yeah, because there's like 3 army books left they need to do. It's Warriors of Chaos, Demons of Chaos,
Ogres.
Chaos and Ogres. That's kind of it.
Yeah, and we haven't seen a hint of ogres, but I'm sure that'll happen.
Yeah.
That may even be something that they hold back for a DLC, just because that has kind of a powerful trailer impact to it.
Hmm.
Of like, oh yeah, there we go. There's the Ogre Kingdoms. That's another army book. But then after that, I mean, it's just either inventing new stuff for old armies or making new things. So I think CA has wisely turned this into a trilogy. Like they knew their limitations, and they also knew, where they kind of had room to make new stuff. And I think this is kind of going to be a good swan song for a trilogy that, for the most part, has been well received.
Yeah, well, it's hard to come with good Warhammer games these days.
Right. I mean, Total War Warhammer is the best-selling Total War series, or I think Total War Warhammer 2 is the best-selling Total War game by far, from what I've read. So, I mean, yeah, I could just expect to see more content for this game because it's so popular. The question is when it's done, like, what are they going to do? Because clearly, the success of the series has proved that there's a fantasy audience that really likes this stuff. So,
Well, you see, this Forgeworld company is making Warhammer Fantasy, so you just have to wait 10 years for that to come out.
right, of course, old world. Let's go.
But yeah, that dropped like a day after our podcast from last week came out. So
Interesting that the Corn Chaos Warriors kind of look like Blood Warriors. I mean, I don't see any reason for them to not include Blood Warriors because they are pretty much just more than a reskin of Corn Chaos Warriors. So I think that's kind of cool.
mm.
Which kind of leads to like we were talking a while ago, like, are we going to see Hedonites of Slanesh in this game? Because absolutely, like those units could fit in Old World, no problem. I think they don't feel like Stormcast or Deepkin kind of level of too high fantasy type of deal to fit in Total War Warhammer. So we'll see. That'll be cool to see some because there's some really cool interesting words. I mean, Arkin is in the game and that's the AOS model. So
Yeah, it's also a funny thing too, because if high fantasy is their concern, they no longer seem to they no longer seem to mind that, because like one of the units we see, in the trailer is like a giant bear made out of like snow and ice and magic. Like they even the Empire has demigryphs and like wizards. Like there's sometimes people, and not my co-host here, but sometimes people like kind of treat fantasy like it's a very grounded, like down to earth, and like there was no none of that like magic and crazy stuff. But then there's also like dragons and demons and like the College of Magic. Like it's not exactly it's not exactly Westeros. Like there's monsters and dragons and wizards everywhere, and like the whole world is like suffused with that magic.
it's actually
Um,
interesting you mentioned that, Will, because are you yeah, more
oh
to say?
no, I was just gonna ramble further. So please do.
It was interesting because there was a thread earlier, I think, on the Old World Facebook asking on a scale of 1 to 10 how high fantasy is Old World. Um, and I think Game of Thrones was like as an example would be a 3 on the scale, and most people put fantasy as like a 7 or 8. And for me, I'm thinking like, yeah, in Game of Thrones, right? If you walk out of King's Landing into the forest, you see bandits and wolves. You know, you walk out of Altdorf in the forest, you see beastmen, Skaven, maybe some orcs, definitely undead for sure. you know, um,
Mhm.
that's very not grounded in that's not. I don't think that's grounded kind of historical quote unquote.
Yeah,
Lore
and there's
fantasy.
people practicing magic down the street
Right.
openly, and you know that it's real. Like it's not it's medieval inspired, but like it is definitely even also the technology level. I mean, they have steam tanks, right?
Right.
Yep.
And yeah, like if you, again, I think GOT is a good example because that's a good example, in my opinion, of popular low fantasy. Like you go across the sea, if you look at the ESO stuff, it's still humans. Maybe there's like a dragon,
Right.
but even that is special. You go across the sea in Warhammer, there's elves, Canadian elves, um, lizard people, like lizard Mexicans,
Mhm.
riding dinosaurs like that. Again, not very low fantasy, right? So absolutely, I agree with Will that Old World is not as low fantasy as most people think. Um, but if Old World is like an 8 or 9, I think AOS is like more over the 10, and I think I think that's a good thing. You guys know me. Stormcast being not grounded in Old World is cool because Stormcast are cool.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's the rant for Old World low fantasy stuff.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. We'll see how well this game turns out. I mean, I thought it was scheduled for June, but I'm looking at the Steam page and now it's saying later this year. So I guess I guess it got pushed back or something. Maybe, I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see how it all pans out. I know this news will make John a little happy. I know it's not the army he plays, but 30K, right? Getting some Imperial fists.
Oh, that's such a cool model. I might get the Terminator one just to paint it. That's I used to say the Dark Angel Terminator Praetor is the best looking Terminator model we have. This guy tops that guy for sure, I think. He is definitely a 40K model, quote unquote, design of like lots of filigree and all that. I think he's cool. I would love to own one and paint yellow for once because that is a really cool model. Even the power armored guy is kind of cool. Just the power armored guy, I'm not sure how well he scales because I'm just so used to like Primaris or New Chaos Marine scale that looks normal, and these guys look kind of too short. So um, we'll see. But yeah, well, also again, it's a 30K release, which means the game is getting something, even though it's at a rate of like one or like two or three releases a year at this point, which really sucks. But super hype, super cool. Not too hype, but cool.
Yeah, I agree with you on that Terminator. Terminator looks nice. I think I want to add him to my Black Templar army just because how good he
Oh,
looks.
a great Black Templar model. Lots of the Templar crosses and
Just gotta
the
shave off
fisk.
the fist a little bit, and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about these minis
Mm.
because there's obviously something to be said that like this is exactly what one would expect of like these are Imperial Fist Praetors. They got Imperial Fist stuff all over them. They're seventh Legion top to bottom, but also kind of, at least to me, kind of what I would have expected. Like I saw this and I couldn't recall if I'd seen these models before. Sometimes with a few of these like Legion specific minis, unless they're making kind of something new or they're taking it in a crazy new direction, I always sort of look at them and I'm like, oh yeah, of course, there they are. Um, they're well executed, but they're not particularly innovative, and that might not be Forgeworld's fault. I think that might just be a limitation of like their that is a praetor covered in Imperial Fist, iconography and like styled in the Imperial Fist way, and that's what it should look like. Whereas when they get to go out on a limb and kind of do their own thing, which they've done with like those Ruin Storm demons that they came out with, or like when they make like kind of more out there weird units, like I actually think the Dark Angel Terminator unit was pretty um, was very creative on their part. So actually, I still think those are really really cool. But these are good looking models that look exactly as I'd expect. So unfortunately, I don't think they wow me perhaps as much as they could.
Well, that's the thing about Space Marines, right? There's only so much you can do with a lot of the Space Marine designs because they're all look the same, pretty much.
Particularly when you're trying to make them fit in with the aesthetics of like a very specific legion.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, the guy on the left, absolutely, he in a sense is the generic Praetor with fist stuff slapped on him. But to me, the Terminator guy is predictable in the same way the new Orc War boss is predictably an Orc War boss. But I still think just I guess the other ones just look kind of lame compared to him at this point. Not the Dark Angel. Think of like a Thousand Suns one, the Space Wolf. Oh gosh, the Space Wolf one, even the Blood Angel one. Um, Maybe it's also the heavy metal paint scheme. That's just really cool. But I just really like the Terminator. Having like it just evokes the hold the line like meme of the fists. He has his shield and his sword and all that. But I do agree that it's not creative in the sense where it's going out there, but it's something that I to me haven't seen done well before. And that's a Terminator Praetor because the other ones are kind of meh to me, except for the Dark Angel one. Because I'm
I
running
mm,
the Blood Angel one and the Thousand Suns one, and they're kind of just
I think
cute.
the White Scars one is amazing.
Oh, I forgot he's really cool. He's in the sold
Uh,
out, so I can see him. Yeah, him and the Dark Angel one. This guy super cool. Hoops on the rest for sure.
Even the Blood Angel one.
No, I don't like the Blood Angel one. His pose kind of really sucks, especially compared to this guy. Of just like yeah, the Blood Angel guy with the power armor one is super cool, but the Terminator one, I mean, the design is nice, but his pose is very. I think they could have done more with it. There's a reason I have a Blood Angels 30k army and I don't have that guy.
Well, I thought this would bring joy to John, seeing how his one of his favorite games is not dead yet.
Yeah,
True.
But I think we can move on to the big release schedule that's coming out right now.
oh man.
Which will be the looks like the other half of Soul Blight, right? Again, their battle box, battle town. What do they call it?
Yeah, they start collecting. They got that quick. It does have a special. It does have a character stuck in there.
The
But it
White
seems like a
King.
pretty cool box.
Hate
He's
that.
the only new model in there.
Yeah,
I kind of hate that box.
and that's Graveguard, right? Not skeletons.
Graveguard. Um, the White King is trapped with really old kits, and apparently Blood Knights are terrible. And it's not Blood Knights. Black Knights are terrible in the new book. You can talk more about that later, but even just the models are not very inspiring. And the Grave Guard to me is almost a crime because I found some of my old Grave Guard that I have, and I brought them and put them next to a skeleton or the new Curd City ones. It's really sad. It's very sad that it's literally having a knob smaller than a boy. Um, and I'm just annoyed that that's the case. Um, I'd rather just made new Graveguard and kept the skeletons the same because at least like these guys are badass and you got the dinky old skeletons and those old skeleton models are very charming to be fair. And the Graveguard are also charming. It's just that the new skeletons exist and having them next to each other just really sucks in my opinion. And having the White King trapped in that box very unfortunate. I guess if you're a new player, it's great because you could use all. It's a great deal. I'm sure. And if the new skeletons didn't exist, I would love this box. But the fact that they do makes me really dislike this box.
Can't you
Especially
just use the new skeletons as a Graveguard?
it's too confusing. I think because Graveguard are Graveguard. Um,
Yeah, but
like
they're
if
distinct enough, right? If you
no,
just
but
had if
like
you had old skeletons, I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, if you had old skeletons, is not non-issue, I think. But you can't get new skeletons. Sorry, old skeletons anymore. If you have some, that's great. But just the new skeletons are so cool, and these guys are so small. And Black Knights are just Black Knights, and I never really liked those models,
Hmm.
honestly. Even when I played Vampire Counts. So the White King is amazing again, which makes me even more sad that, to me, that he is trapped in there. Now, again, if you're a new player and you want to get this, go ahead. If you don't own Graveguard, it's a great deal. It's like $95, I think, from the leaked shipments to the independent stores, and that's a great deal. For $95 for this is amazing, amazing deal.
Yeah, tactical way to reduce the price of Graveguard too.
Yes, um, but yeah, new skeletons, old Graveguard. Why?
Okay then. Well, we also got the Dire Wolves coming out finally. Being able to get that,
These are
nice.
definitely pre-ordering a box.
All the wait, is it all the characters? Yeah, all the characters coming out.
And then one big surprise.
Side note, I said the grandma Virko sucks, but I've reading her rules and they're actually kind of interesting. It's one of the case of like she's not OP, but her rules are fun, so I might pick her up because the model is cool enough to want me to try her in game. But if I wouldn't get this model just for the model, so it's kind of interesting how rules and models interact to me. But yeah, anyways, carrying on.
Interesting rules making a model that you weren't stoked about more tantalizing.
Exactly, yeah.
It's usually
Yeah,
how
that
it
makes sense.
works.
Simple Radokar, actually. I was reading his chapter tactics, vampire chapter tactics, and they're pretty, again, really interesting. Makes me want to try him out. Wasn't as hyped. Thought he was cool. Now more interested in trying him out. Speaking of Radokar, Will was shocked as I was,
Yeah,
honestly.
well, it's a shock, but also like we talked about it 3 weeks ago. Like we're pretty sure the models weren't the thing that was holding up the box.
Yeah,
This is proof. And something that is really good about this is these have the web direct symbol on them, which to me indicates that they're going to be a safe bet that they'll stick on the web store for a really long time. At first, I like had to do a double take because I thought this was a made to order. It is not. It is web direct. So these models are not lost to time. Not yet.
That's good because we still have no word on Cursed City yet. Besides, other vendors.
I've heard there's some cardboard shortage worldwide, so that might be the case where it's harder to produce the boards and all that. Because again, like all Will said, this proves that the model, like, it's not fully Games Workshop's decision to not make Crescent City, because if they could make these models, why not just release the box? Well, there's the components that aren't made in house. Um, and if you didn't know this, Games Workshop usually only makes their models and books. They don't really make components.
Mhm.
Even like special dice, they usually outsource those. So the fact that this is coming out, is interesting. Also, kind of interesting that you can get Radokar by himself, but there's no way to play him by himself unless you use him a generic vampire lord. I don't know if it's an oversight or if that's the marketing or the sales team not talking to the rules team, whatever. Just interesting.
The cool thing about this too, though, is with Crimson Court, now you can have a vampire on foot from each of the 5 dynasties, which is awesome.
That's cool.
Because you can have a Castellet, you can have the Virkos represented by Radikar. Like that's really really cool. Like if you get this and if you get this and Crimson Court, which is very rare at the moment, you get 5 vampires, one from each dynasty, which is really really cool.
Yeah, and we got and the other two characters. So that's all the vampire stuff, right? Everything is
That
out there now for pre-order.
that is it.
That's correct.
And they revealed that Annika has a alternative hand, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind
the
of cool.
bad hand.
Yeah, she seems to be based, or at least a pretty strong callback to a story from the 7th edition Vampire Counts book, which I was actually just perusing the other day. There's a story about like a very it is a piece of art that has a very similar character design with like holding a mask in one hand and like revealing her true form. So it's cool that Kritza and Annika like also just got snuck in here. The question remains as to whether they were supposed to be Cursed City expansions. It seems likely.
Yeah, I would say so.
Possibility. But
Yeah.
I was gonna move on.
hmm
So the Bone Reapers finally coming out
Super
in
cool.
Underworlds.
Is there any miniature range that has a stronger set of sculpts than Warhammer Underworlds? No resin, no models made before like 2017. Everything is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even for like units that may not be as appealing. I mean, the fact that like an Underworld's warband kind of stole the show on Box Game Day, at least in terms of internet reaction. Like they just every warband. Some are not as exciting as others, but most warbands are just like a strikingly cool like small group of warriors, and like they can just do so much stuff with it. Like Mirkainen, who's the leader here, like there's no leader version of there's nothing that looks anything like him in Bone Reapers, and like his rules are probably not going to be amazing in terms of crunch, but like it's just cool that like this is a new leader for Bone Reapers, and he visually is completely distinct from all other heroes in the faction.
Yep. Well, that's the great thing about AOS. It's just like John said, just ideas thrown together and possible futures for the army kind of deal.
Yeah, it's like wacky random stuff, which is amazing. Great idea.
As a Bone Reaper person, John, how do you feel about these guys?
I think they're cool. They're not. I don't know. I'm not so hyped about them because they're not as wacky as they could be for Underworlds. The leader is wacky and awesome and different. The rest aren't. The arrow guy is cool, but there's only one of them. I wish that's. I guess for Bone Reapers, it's an army where that really lends itself to heroes or units. There's kind of no in between. Like the single Mortec guard are just like, yeah, it's kind of cool. Again, I'm glad they exist. I wish it was just more of the leader guy. And even like Soul Blight, the vampire one, they're all very unique vampire sculpts.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the best Underworld sculpts are the ones that really, or Underworld models are the ones where you can't really find in the faction, or there's no like plastic alternative. Um, for example, I remember the Goblin one had a cool model for a shaman, which was hard to find at the time when it came out because I was pre Gloomspite. So that was cool. But like even the first one, the Liberator one, like that was the first female Liberator, right? That was like whoa. But I guess the Bone Reaper player, I'm not as excited about this as I want to be. Maybe because vampires are hyping me right now, but it's one of those things again, like to call back to my joke, not joke, like my statement earlier. It's cute, it's awesome. I'm not so hyped for it. I'll get it eventually. Glad it exists. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too hype about it either, but like I said, well, like we've said, the leader is pretty much probably the only striking model of this group. Everything else is kind of meh, but it's good that it's coming out because that means we're one step closer to getting Crab.
That's true.
And then something that came out of nowhere, which I guess out of nowhere, something we've been waiting for since April, I guess. AdMech Codex finally coming out.
Yes.
Even though I'm pretty sure this was supposed to be back in like February. Then they
Yeah.
announced it for April. And now we're halfway through May. And we're just now getting our 7th Codex, I want to say.
Oh, for ninth.
For 9th? Yeah. right? Because it's Death Guard, Space Marines, Necrons, uh, Dark Eldar, Space Wolves, Blood Angels, and Dark Angels. So this would be our eighth codex.
Yeah, and like the fourth or fifth just standalone codex, not a
Not a Space Marine supplement.
yeah.
So fun stuff. We're finally gonna get it. So
Great for admech players.
come on, something different, right? Finally. Entering
Yeah.
the battlefield. Now I won't have to hear about how OP the Dark Eldar are in like every Warhammer cast that I follow. So
Yep.
it's a shame that it'll be at the end of the month, but hey, they're still gonna get it.
Yeah, it would be interesting now to see how the meta shakes up, and to see how the design philosophy affects the Nimbus Mechanicus. So yeah,
Yeah.
it should be. I mean, more codexes is never a bad thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's see what we got here. So we got the standard data cards. We got the dice that we already looked at as well. Combat Patrol. We looked at this, right?
Yeah, this was
The one Greg talked about.
Yeah, okay, I thought we did.
Yeah.
So
So confirmed that the contents are accurate.
Yep. Skitaria Marshall is finally coming out. And this guy's been teased for like half a year now. Almost a full year. We're also getting
A year?
X-Brick. Right,
I thought they teased him in March.
Did they tease him in March? No, they
Didn't
teased him back in like
I think they teased him when they announced the vampire stuff.
Well, technically, he was teased, like his foot was revealed 6 months ago.
yeah,
No one.
Oh, for the rumor engine.
Yeah, no,
no,
for
a video.
the video with like that the Korsagi and
It had that
the
that
sister.
Death Guard character.
Oh, from December. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this guy's finally coming out. Lily Hesbrix is finally coming out.
Yep.
You can finally buy her single model. Good news for everyone. You can finally get your plastic flayed ones and Chronomancer model. No longer having to buy the Kill Team box. Kill Team Pariah Nexus.
Yes.
So I know John's happy about that. If he still has Necron hype.
No, non-existent. I traded my Necrons for Admech.
Oh, well. That's sad.
It's okay.
And then we get the Heavy Intercessors finally coming to make a splash as well.
Yeah, those are cool. Will, you have these, right?
I do. Yeah, so in Pariah Nexus, of course, sold out super quickly, and that was 2 months ago now. It's a good turnaround to get these out there quick. The Heavy Intercessors have had I believe their miniatures have been revealed for a long time. Talking about things that actually, for sure, they've shown the whole model and everything a long time ago. I want to say even when the 9th edition Astartes Codex was coming out, we knew exactly what these guys looked like. We knew their models and everything. I can't recall if that the same is true of the Necrons. But I remember that captain and these heavy intercessors. Like I think they had pictures in the codex.
Yep.
So it's that has been a long time coming, but there they are.
Yep, it's took a long time, but we finally get in them. Separately, not through a box game.
Yeah.
And it looks like they putting out some new combat patrols as well.
Oh my gosh, I'm about to get angry.
All right, well, pop off.
The Necron one is amazing. It's a lot of units that aren't in the starter sets. Well, I guess the Overlord is, but it's a different Overlord, right? But Death Marks are cool with dual kit with Immortals. You got the Night Sight / Tube Sight. They got the Tomb Blades. That's an awesome box. So I think this is a great kit. The Space Marine one makes me angry. So it's essentially the start collecting, which is fine. That's great. That's a good idea. That's a good start because you got a lot of models. I mean, yeah, the monopose. I don't really care, but it's a great. But hey, whoever put this box, it's like, hey, let's take all these units, right, that can infiltrate or deep strike, and let's give them the impulsor. What the hell? What the hell, man? Like that just like whoever made this doesn't play the game and just thought like, oh, these guys would like to ride in that. It's like, no, that doesn't work like that. um,
And all
yeah,
that infiltrating makes them tired.
that's so they ride. I guess the impulsor is not that good. I mean, I've had success with it, but I don't play tournaments, and even if the impulsor was like Dark Eldar Raider levels of OP, it just doesn't make any sense for that to be in this kit. It feels as someone who plays this army and owns all of this, it just tells me that like, yeah, like again, whoever made this does not play the game, does not read the rules, and just kind of slap things together that look cool.
Yeah, it's an odd assortment.
Yeah.
Really, just that one component is an odd assortment.
Just a one component, but it
Yeah.
makes me really really odd to me.
And it's a major part of the value of the box.
Yeah, yeah. Now, if you buy this alongside the starter sets, that's great because your assault intercessors could hop in that Camino and murder some greenskins or something, right? That's great. But and if looking at that, it's a great deal for it because of what I just said. But getting this by itself, if you have nothing, if you're starting Space Marine player and you have nothing, this is probably going to be $140. Just get the starter sets. It's a better start. You have Necrons for your buddy, and then pick this up because then it'll make more sense for your army.
Wow, I would assume this would be a great deal. How much are
Oh,
start collecting usually? Like
one,
120?
they're like 140 the combat patrols, and the impulsor is like $80, and this current start collecting is like 90 something, $90 I think. So you're saving like $30, which is not a huge savings, but it is savings. And again, these are monopose and their weight. If you just break this down, right, like the lieutenant's probably like $30. The infiltrators I think are 60 by themselves as a multi kit, and the eliminators are 50. So that's already like one like 140, and the suppressors are probably like conservative estimate $50. So it's already like almost $200 worth of models, and then you got your impulsor. So you're saving quite a bit if you break it down. But even if you're just using the price as the current start collecting, because all the infantry is the current start collecting Vanguard Marines. So again, the deal of this box is great. Just don't start with this.
Just not a start collecting box.
Not a start collecting. It's a buy this after you get the actual starter sets, like the Elite Edition, etc. Kind of box. Same for the Necron one is amazing. Just buy that if you're starting Necrons and you got the Elite Edition. Buy this next. It's an amazing deal.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll have to see what happens. Sure, you could make it work out, given how Warhammer works with the detachment system, but I don't play too much Imperial, so I can't really comment too much on the units. Considering all my guys are Black Templar, so we just want to get into combat.
Right. I mean, infiltrators are good. Suppress. I think they're all good. I mean, I'm of the opinion that most units in 40k, unless you play in tournaments, will work. Like if you play this with your buddies, like your your infiltrators will not just bend over and die like nothing. They'll do something if you read the rules and use them as they're intended, which is to infiltrate, secure objectives. Use your luminaires to like blink off characters. It'll be fine.
Okay.
It's a good box. If again, minus the transport, but nothing to transport. Buy something for the box for the impulsor transport, and then we can dance. You know.
Yeah. Well, we also got some Black Library news, which you can two retcon books of the Dark Imperium, and we're finally getting the last story of the Dark Imperium, right? I think they said it was a trilogy.
It's interesting because it keeps saying latest, but in other places it says this is the conclusion. And I'm pretty sure Guy Haley has said before that there was supposed to be 3 books. So I think this is the culmination of the other two. Interesting that they did new cover art for the first 2 books.
It did that? Kind of looks the same.
That is new art.
Oh, it's newer.
It's new art to match the third book, which hey, that kind of makes sense. But it is yeah, because the Dark Imperium box set is now gone. But like the sort of overarching Gilliman Mortarion plot of Eighth Edition hadn't quite finished by the time Ninth came out. So this is gonna put a conclusion to that.
Oh
And
my
it's 2 Primarchs fighting in a 40k novel.
Yeah, about time, right?
Oh my gosh, this is Jonathan Cable. So if it is, I'm about to play Ultramarines. See, Plague War. See if it's an audible. I'm not for pre-order yet.
Yeah, most likely it's the guy.
I would assume it's being voiced by the same guy who did the other 2 books.
Guy Haley writes so many novels per year; it's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't finish the second book in the series. I'll probably have to start finishing. I'll probably have to finish that up before I can go, so I can get hyped for this next story that comes out.
Finished the first. I read the first one and it was very solid. I mean, there's a lot of like by the model moments.
Oh
Like
yeah,
all
I,
of
I did. I read the first one.
yeah, but overall, there's a lot of like. I think that's the book that said that if we're still in 40,000, we're not in 41K. The clock was just wrong.
Yeah.
Which is I think a cool detail. I like that. Or how like Gulliman talks to the Emperor, or like hints of what happened, or how Gulliman is dealing with the ecclesiarchy. There's some cool stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's particularly valuable just for the point of view stuff for Gilliman, because those are the things that like you can't get from most books, particularly ones that are not set within the Horus Heresy. So that Dark Imperium novel, the first one, was hugely important at the time, and probably I think still has some legs. Um, but it is cool that it's even though the starter set is over, and to some people Martarian and Gilliman are old news. Uh, Guy Haley has not forgotten to finish the story that he started, which is great.
Wow. Unfortunately, uh, Mortarian and Bobby G can't be forgotten because they're 2 of the 3 Primarchs that we have in 40k right now. So until they start bringing in Angron and the Lion and Fulgrim and all that, all the other guys, we're stuck with these 3. But yeah, that's good. It's good. We're also gonna get I assume, collector's edition book here. Yeah. Bobby G himself on the front cover, looking godly.
It's so hard to justify getting a collector's edition of a novel no one has read. I really wish they did stuff like this for like books that already existed, that like people already have proven to like, because it's just such a you really got to have faith in the brand and in the author to order like a limited edition twice or triple the price novel that you have had no chance to read before.
Yeah, it definitely has to be like an author writing about an author you like. Sorry, an author you really like writing about something you really care about. Like ADB wrote Emperor Spears. I love ADB. Will loves ADB. I didn't get that. I don't think you got that, Will, right? The Emperor Spears,
I listened to it. I did not get the collector's edition.
right? But if ADB wrote an Archaeon novel, I'm sure Will instantly buy the collector's edition for that.
That would be enough.
Yeah. Like
But again, I would still have to be taking it on faith.
right. That's true. But that's a good point. Like, I don't know if it's gonna be amazing. Guy Haley's he's some cool stuff, but he's not like, oh, amazing.
The thing about Guy Haley is he's never written any bad books for Black Library, but he hasn't written that many great ones.
So you say he's like a mid?
He's like upper mid tier. He doesn't ever strike out. At least in my experience, he doesn't. But his books more have like moments of brilliance as opposed to the whole book being a slam dunk. Like Dark Imperium is pretty solid, but it has some moments that are far more memorable, and then other stuff that is just like well executed, you know, kind of by the numbers background plot.
Yeah. All right.
But I don't even know if I can say like what I think Guy Haley's like best novel is. Um, he just doesn't. He never screws it up.
Hey, that's all you
Pharaoh.
can hope for sometimes.
Pharos has some really great stuff in there,
Yep.
but Pharos also has some sort of bizarre, esoteric, boring plot lines that don't really go anywhere. Like he hasn't written a perfect book that I've read yet.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, as we saw here, very jam-packed weekend for pre-orders, which
Yeah.
is good because
I think getting some stuff.
everyone wants the new stuff. And I think we'll just quickly go over this. Uh, we got the Forgeworlds revealed. I don't know too much about it, and I didn't bring Greg here, who plays this army a little bit. But yeah, all the Forgeworlds got revealed, which usually they would spread out each day. But I'm guessing since they kind of just sprung the Mechanicus on us, they just decided to put all the Forgeworlds in one article instead of a week's worth of articles.
I think part of this is that they're balancing so many plates because of all the stuff they also announced at Warhammer Fest. Like people are expecting trickle news about those reveals and like things that are going to be coming for all these other games.
Mm.
Um, Part of it also could be that the Forge Worlds haven't changed significantly, but again, not being a Mechanicus player, it's hard to know that.
I played 2 games with Mars, and I think the Mars one is super different. But I think I don't know the rest. They don't seem that different. I think it's like whoa. But so the Mars one is different because it used to be they could I think they roll extra on the canticles table or something. They had some bonus to canticles on like getting like some RNG fixer the canticles table, and now it's just reroll one hit roll. Um,
Ah,
Well,
Pretty powerful.
we know the Canticles are gonna be reworked.
Yes, yes.
I
Like
appreciate the way. Go on.
I was saying the rest I don't know.
I appreciate as being uninitiated into playing Mechanicus. Like I've never even owned a Mechanicus book. Um, they have written this article in a way that is pretty easy to understand if you don't know very much about the army. Like I like these little one sentence summaries they have at the end that are like, if you didn't really catch that, these guys like are good at teleportation. Like they have things that they can do. Even if that tooltip is wrong, it makes it more approachable. That it's just like written this way because like they're very aware like this is a giant block of text that may not mean much to someone who's thinking about picking up Mechanicus for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only one I'm no the I mispronounced this. The Stegus 8. I know their ability got changed in that now they have to be 18 inches away to get a cover save instead of 12 inches like it used to be.
So
And
it's huge.
then some of their core vehicles or yeah, core vehicles will just get a dense cover instead of a cover save. So it'll I know that one changed a little bit, but that's about all I know.
Side note: the custom Forge World art there is freaking cool. I never seen that before, but I just forgot how cool that is. The bottom.
Let me scroll all the way down there. I was slowly scrolling through all the Mechanica stuff. There you are.
That's a cool art. But yeah, good news for Mechanicus players. New stuff to play with. Hopefully, maybe one of these is OP. New Dark Eldar. Who knows?
Well,
I
I
just love
mean,
it. a non-Space Marine faction is OP because it just like I hate it when people say, "Oh, Space Marines are OP because they're the face of Games Workshop." It's like, no, it's even worse for AOS. And people are like, of course Stormcast are OP. They're like the face of AOS. Or like, of course Stormcast are getting new models. They always get new models. It's like, dude, the last time they got new models was like 3 years ago. And
Yeah,
no, they are not OP. They're actually kind of mid tier in
they,
AOS.
they are the Mario of AOS.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I know if Greg was here, he would say that mechanics are probably the strongest army in 40k.
I mean, the math says Dark Eldar are the strongest army.
The mass is Dark Eldar, but I mean, I played against his Mechanicus, and I think I've lost every game against Greg.
Right, but the argument is if Greg cloned himself and played Mechanicus against Dark Eldar Greg would win. More than half the time.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's the nature of the game of being dice rolling.
Yeah, but I
Anything
know
can happen.
maybe Mechanicus is super strong.
We'll see. Maybe I just played it wrong. But that's it for that. On to vampire news, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. So we got a couple leaks of the vampire battle tome. Is that what they call it in AOS?
Yeah, the Battle Tome. It was also revealed by a number of reviewers who got it early, and it just sort of showed the whole book. So we now know the contents more or less, unless I'm wrong about that.
Well, I'll hand it over to our vampire expert, who's very hyped for this army. What are some key things that caught your eye?
Something to mention. I'm gonna go with the big hot takes. This army is not trash. Everyone is saying this army is trash. It is not trash. Most people are saying it's trash. Like the average peasant gamer is saying it's trash. But a lot of like the competitive AOS scene. I don't know if you will if you agree, because you're a TGA more. I'm talking more like Gwynhammer and
Yeah,
whatnot. And saying this book is very like mid high tier. So I don't think this book sucks, like what most people are saying. Also, this book was designed for the new edition, and there's stuff in this book that seems to be pointing at design elements of the new edition. So
yeah,
it's hard
some
to yeah.
sweeping changes too.
Another thing is a typo is the White King's command ability says a death rattle unit in your hero phase gets to reroll hits in the hero phase. That doesn't work right now. Maybe in the new edition, there's some hero phase shenanigans. I don't know, but right now the ability does not work. So it's kind of funny type. Maybe it'll get FAQ'd. Who knows? Or again, maybe the new edition will change that. But
Maybe it's like
Yeah,
a soul burst kind of deal, you know, where they can just immediately attack in the hero phase, and then I don't know.
I guess even Hell's Dance, unless that's combat only. I don't know.
I think
Uh,
part of the reason that people online seem to be thinking this book is trash is that it is not as openly shockingly good as like things like we've had like Seraphon and like Lumineth, or like the the recent Heed Knights of Slanesh book like is pretty much being just panned rules wise. That book is a gigantic step down from the previous book in terms of power, which is funny because they like doubled the number of units. Um, this book is very clearly has limitations, very clearly has things that it's good at and things that it is not that is not excel at, such as shooting. And I think that's just made people because there's so many people who are really really excited for this book to happen. Um, like on TGA, which is the like sort of the largest Age of Sigmar forum, they had to open an entirely new thread in the death section of the website just for people to talk about Soulblight Gravelords. Like this is way bigger than Night Haunt. This is way bigger than even seemingly Osiarch Bone Reapers was in terms of excitement. Um, so there's a lot of people, and the most negative voices are kind of rising to the top, and then they just get reposted of kind of like people saying like, "Oh yeah, Stormcaster OP because they're the poster child." Somebody like read that on a comment and then told everyone.
right.
I think this book, well, John, you could definitely explain it best.
Yeah, I think it's fun. There's a lot of cool elements. Again, like alluding to when I was talking about the pre-orders, like there's the models in the book that I just think were okay. I mean, that's not really my cup of tea, but I'm probably gonna get it now because the rules are interesting. Like Grandma Virkos has like some really cool spells and abilities. Like she can turn people into dire wolves. I mean, again, her preview said that, but I think reading the rule, the spell itself, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I wanna try that on in game. Turn some of Will's Chaos Warriors into dire wolves. Um,
It's only what they deserve.
Yes, like Radokar the Beast, he could summon a unit of direwolves. And I was looking at his points like, oh gosh, it's really expensive. Then I realized, wait a second, he could get a full unit of direwolves for free. That makes sense why he's so pricey. So,
Yeah,
um, still disappointed that the Curse City guys can only be taken as a group. Probably a well. I used to think it's a balance thing because you couldn't get them, but well, now you can. So,
yeah,
um,
that is curious. The funny thing about it is, depending on the price of the Radakar's court and Radakar himself, it might be a very inexpensive way to get get tons of points
oh,
in an army.
he's 755.
Yeah, with him and all his buddies.
Oh no, his buddies are 755, and he is.
I think
Um,
Radakar the Beast is the
no,
only Radakar you can take by himself.
you're right. You're right. Yeah, he comes with a. You have to take him 755 as a group.
It
Um,
amazingly turns the contents of Cursed City into like a terrible but playable and legal 1,000 point Soul Blight Gravelord's army.
yes.
Because you get 10 skeletons, so to benefit with Halgrim. You get 10 zombies to protect Gorslav, and then you're good to go.
Yep.
Bat
But
Swarms did not make it into the book. So
unfortunately,
sad. But I mean, amongst the many other great things about this release, and it is interesting you pointed that out, John. That like people seem to be pooping on it, like because this is like a monumental release. I would say, like this is like Vampire Counts 2.0. Games Workshop cast a spell that made Blood Knights purchasable for $40 less than before with better models.
yeah, and Blood Knights are super good. I mean, in the community article talked about them, and they could do stuff like do mortal wounds when they exit combat. They could they have a lot of synergies with some dynasties, and they do a lot of damage in the charge. They have a 3-up save now, which is super cool. So yeah, Blood Knights are definitely have rules to match their models.
Yeah, and
Uh,
that's a fine thing that sometimes is all too rare.
because on the flip side, Felbats, their rules are very meh for such a cool unit. Because there's 75 points for 3, and I think it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, they could be just cost effective for what they do, but for such a cool unit that costs not uh, that costs not an insignificant amount of money. The rules
Yeah,
are very just bland. um,
yeah. It seems definitely like a unit that they like designed it, and they were like it kind of the same actually as the old ones, who were you would get them in individual blister packs, and I think they were like $15 or something.
Yep.
Yeah. This is a little more expensive than that, but the models are easily 4 times better.
And not metal.
right, and
Not metal, which is why they can be posed like actual bats and not just a creature on a string.
right.
I appreciate to hammer home John's hot take earlier. I appreciate how on the Games Workshop website, most of the new Soulblight units, the scale is represented by there's a picture of the new unit and then a grave guard with a shield standing next to it
Damn it.
to show, to show the grave guard. Uh, the well designed, but now seemingly humbled grave guard.
Just need a
He's like, build me. Please.
Like in 7th edition, those graveyard models were awesome looking.
Oh yeah.
Oh my, yeah, and we're $20.
It's not even like there's anything from a design standpoint that necessarily is wrong with them, except for maybe putting on some stilts. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean that kit. Aside from like limitations of posing from being Warhammer Fantasy. I mean, they are cool dudes. But now they're scale photos for everybody.
Yes, fortunately.
But I didn't mean to run you off the rail on the on like anything else you want to talk about on the book,
No,
John.
yeah, I mean,
This is your army.
some interesting stuff is like the a lot of the unnamed characters don't have command abilities. Like generic vampire lord has no command ability. White kings do, which is but it's broken. Whatever. Well, vampire. Let me scroll the vampire lord. Oh, sorry, it does have one, but like the zombie dragon one does not have a command ability. Some of the characters. So I take it back. Not there's no distinction between named and unnamed characters. A lot of characters, period, don't have command abilities. Um, like Annika, I think that's her name, and Kritza have no command abilities. Vampire and Zombie Dragon does not have a command ability. Just interesting. Oh, also, 5 points end in 5s now, which is new in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, crit says 95 points. I want to say,
Kritza is absolute at 95 points.
making him cheaper than a regular vampire lord as well.
Yes, indeed. Something also interesting design thing. All the named characters say they count as a general in addition to your general.
Yeah, that might be something to do with AOS 3.
Yeah.
Much how there's no more horde discounts. As I'm sure
Oh.
you also recall, Matt. Like when you would if you would reach max unit size on a lot of Age of Sigmar infantry models, you would get a points discount to sort of incentivize you hitting the max.
Mm-hmm.
This is an army that can be a horde army, and those discounts are gone. I think we're going to see those go from every army now.
That's a
Speaking of
shame.
that, let me find the zombies war scroll book. I know the skeleton war scroll lost its horde bonus.
It also lost its weapon type. There's no distinction between spears and shields anymore. It is your skeleton has weapons, and here are his stats
Yep.
or her stats.
Yeah, it could be a female skeleton when they were alive.
It's too late to check.
Where's that zombie? I can't find the zombies. But yeah, that's interesting. What else to point out? I found the zombies. Yep, there's no size bonus. They do get a cool mortal wound ability. Like,
That's so cool.
when on the hit on a 6, they do a mortal wound. They have like Gene Steal, like 4th edition Gene Stealer Rending, which is kind of hilarious. They have no save though, so they just die. You could take Terrorgeist now in Vampire counts, which is super cool. You couldn't do that before. They were used to be flesh eaters only, so that's dope. Might pick one up. I like the chapter tactics or the dynasty rules. I think they're very interesting, and I like how your hero does. If you take like Radukar, right, and you're doing a Castellai, which is the Blood Knight dynasty, you don't lose that dynasty. Radukar just gets no bonuses, which is cool.
That's super cool because it also encourages it. It makes the range feel even bigger.
Yeah.
Like you would never be taking Ardax Agatone with like an Ultramarine army. Like
Right.
for no reason would you do that aside from you just like him.
Right.
However, there's also no way to run no dynasty. The book makes that pretty clear.
Yes.
You gotta pick one of them.
That's a throwback to 6th edition vampires, where there were the last time we had vampire counts bloodlines. You had your general had to be part of a bloodline, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right to me.
Which is pretty fluffy. I think that's cool.
The only book where, if I recall, like bloodlines were like not pretty much mandated was when they were introduced, and I want to say that's like a 5th edition book. The paperback one that we probably both had as kids.
Oh yeah, it was like 20 pages. It was kind of lame, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's exciting if you're with a less developed brain. But it introduced that idea, and you can also see too, like the battalions in this book are like teeny tiny. Battalions are no longer going to be a thing in match play. So this book is indicative of like what's going to change in AOS 3. And as you were saying, John, it's very possible that it might actually, because it was designed with AOS 3 in mind, it might even be a little better than it seems right now.
Here we go. Here's the Warhammer stocks. As a lot of the community's been saying, it's like, like right now, right? If what's OP, like Lumineth or Dark Eldar, starting those armies may not be smart. What you gotta do is find an army that's yet to get this Battle Tome or Codex, like Tau or Iron Jaws, right, or something, because they could just be like the new like unstoppably 90% win rate army in the future.
Right.
So hobby now, guys. Tau players, we might be back to 7th edition. Who knows? At the rate we're going, like look at Matt here with his uh his pile of Kamara cryptocurrency, just 70% win rate, all
And
done, all hobby. So yeah, this army could be amazing in 3.0. Which that doesn't, like, this army could be mid tier in 3.0. I don't care. Like, I'm gonna play with my buddies. I'm gonna play with Matt and Will, and we don't play ITC, so it's gonna be a good time.
yeah,
Uh,
and it's all that matters really. Just
right.
having fun.
Overall, I'm pleased. There's units I don't care about. Black Knights, I just don't care about. Rather just have Blood Knights. Graveguard, I'm going to be using my skeletons as Graveguard, and probably trying to find some old GW skeletons to use as skeletons. Actually, the skeletons are, as a unit, I'm not very excited about, because I can just use Graveguard. But I do think they are only battle line if you're White Kings in general. Now, I don't know how generals work in 3.0, so maybe I do need to invest in some skeletons. But I mean, I have zombies. Zombies are battle lines, or direwolves. Direwolves are pretty good. 2 wound cavalry battle line.
Yeah,
Pretty,
super cool. And
Vargeist
hmm
exist. And they're vampires. I think like Castelli, again, the Blood Knight dynasty has a lot of bonuses to vampire units, and Vargeist are vampire units, so they get the, like, essentially when they kill, that dynasty vampire unit kills something, they get a bonus. Vargeist are vampire units, so you get that.
yeah, that's so great. I've always loved those. And let's not forget John's 22nd favorite vampire counts model, the corpse card.
You have
So
history
bad.
with this?
This is a model I've never heard John even mention.
I was actually that was a model when I played vampires in 7th, when I started vampires. It was just a model that to me was kind of gross. It was like, ooh, it's like corpses and like guts, that. And zombies, zombie models were terrible, and I didn't care for zombies. This thing was essentially like a buff for zombies, so I never really cared, and I've never really cared about. I don't even build this unit when I play Total War. Um, I just don't care about. Maybe I'll care now. Maybe it's like, okay, fine, I'll get one just to have one, because now zombies are cool now. So I haven't even read their rules. Maybe they're good or playable. Who knows? But I don't know. Maybe after I paint Radikar and his grandma, and the new Legion of Everblight HD model, I'll get a corpse card.
It's not a skeleton. It's not a vampire. It
But
is
no,
neither count nor gravelord.
but the new zombies are HD as hell, and they're cool now to me.
Yeah,
I
you bet they are.
zombies now.
Hmm.
Um,
Like the Mortis engine and the Coven Throne is also in this faction, and it's like kind of, even though that was like a centerpiece that was kind of the forefront of an edition of the Vampire Accounts book, is often forgotten, despite its ostentatiousness.
that one I'm definitely a fan. That one is not cool, and 2 is a pain to store, so I just not gonna bother with that. I'd rather just get a dragon.
Yeah, the Zombie Dragon is awesome.
Well, we can only hope that the vampires do well when 3.0 comes out, and hope that they are not trash like everyone is claiming they are. Because no one wants an army to be trash.
They'll be good. They'll be
What was the last codex or battle tome that came out that was unspeakably terrible?
Paradrons, and then they're
Uh,
OP.
the first one.
The first one,
Yeah,
and then they're like incredibly overpowered.
yeah, they're real good now.
Some 40k armies were gutted by the new edition. I know Gene Sealer Cults was kind of gutted by the new edition from the points hikes, but
Mhm.
so was Dark Eldar. From what I recall, they were very not that good when Ninth came out, and now we know where they are. So um, yeah, rules change. Again, Caradons is a good example because like Will mentioned, like first edition Caradons was just trash, and now they are. I think right before the pandemic hit, when tournaments were full swing, they were like just stomping AOS tournaments left and right.
Yeah, they're still incredibly strong. It was funny they were updated just in time for organized gaming to shut down.
There you go.
Be able to find that
Caradons,
counter.
yeah,
Well, I think
But
that's
overall,
that.
fun book. I'm hyped.
It's good. Hopefully, it's good. But we can go on to the hobby rant section. I do want to mention a few things that I didn't put in there. Black Library announced a new vampire count book coming out as well. Dynasty of Monsters. I don't know if you guys saw that or not.
yeah, that is pretty cool actually. I am interested in that book. I'll be even more interested if I can listen to it. But Lau Kavai, we didn't know she existed 3 weeks ago, and here she is having her own novel, and being like the leader of her own dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
This is sort of cool. Um, I'm interested.
Yep. I know. Last week when we were talking about the Warhammer Fest, you mentioned that there was no AOS books announced. So here we go.
Yeah,
We got an AOS book announced.
I can only feel like this is something. This is a case of somebody probably asked about that like on stream, or someone wrote an angry fan letter. It was like, hey, how come no AOS books? And like it's like, oh, here it is. And it would have been perfect to do then because it was for a character that was announced 2 days previously. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know quite why that happened, particularly because it's very obvious that they were probably ready to go to announce it. They just forgot.
I don't think they forgot. It's just something they were holding off on. But yeah, it doesn't look like it's gonna get a audio book just yet. Because I mean, they usually advertise it. If I scroll down, you'll see that Git Slayer has the audio book next to it. So
That is true.
probably not gonna probably not gonna get a audio version just yet. But I thought I'd mention that since it did finally happen.
Yeah, that is good news. And I mean, it's cool that they also reprinted the old, like they're still doing those like Warhammer Chronicles things, for the old world novels that they got to be running out at this point. Uh,
Probably not too much left.
a lot of the classics they've sort of put forward, and some that are not so classic.
Yeah.
I love that cover for Dynasty of Monsters. It's just so like unabashedly like, hey, here's this weirdo character. Why does she look like a Dark Souls boss? Maybe read the book and you'll find out.
A rule is so thematic too, where I think you roll dice if it's higher than the current turn number, nothing happens. But if it's equal to or lower than the current turn number, you could run in charge but lose command abilities. That's super
Yeah,
thematic.
that's so sick.
This kind of thing. That's cool. Someone was paying attention.
That's nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, oftentimes GW is better at making thematic rules like that than making rules that make sense.
Or thematic army boxes that make sense within the components of said box.
Sometimes. Not all the time. But yeah,
Yeah,
let's
it's like
bring that up.
hired this unit of infiltrators to sneak behind enemy lines in their impulsor.
Like, hey guys, I'm here.
And it's like, man, I sure hope the Gene Sealer cultists don't notice that.
Yeah, well, let's get to Hobby Ranch, shall we? Start with John. John, we haven't started with you for a while. How are
Uh,
things? How's life?
Good. I am painting some Death Watch right now. For Kill Team. I've been having fun with this project, like individually messing with my guys because they're from chapters. Like I used the Space Wolf Lieutenant as an assault intercessor, converted him a bit. I used the Dark Angel Lieutenant as an intercessor. Um, gave him a bolt rifle. Yeah, I'm just having fun. This is a neat project. I mean, Deathwatch are like the perfect kill team for kill team. I mean, there's a reason why their units are called kill teams, right?
Right.
It's been working on that. Played some Crescent City over the weekend with Will and some other friends.
How's the
That game continues to
campaign?
be incredibly fun. Yeah, the game is just fun. Not much to say that we haven't said before. It's a fun Warhammer experience, co-op experience with cool models, thematic game in my opinion.
It's also not
Uh,
unchallenging, as we found out.
yeah, that was kind of cool. We went to a mission and not take a tank, and it was very challenging. Which I found kind of fun because it was
Yeah, me too.
like oh no, we could lose. That's kind of cool. Uh,
It was
they
also a high risk, high reward situation.
right.
Sorry, I'm just impinging on your hobby rant. I'm like
It's shared.
encroaching.
It's shared, right? Yeah, because if your plan was by taking lower level characters, you would level them up quicker. But to maximize the experience, we didn't take our tanks. And that was super fun. Funny moment of the game. There's a D8 that is a special D8, but essentially it's a 50-50. There's four blanks and four symbols, so 50-50 chance to succeed. So the meme we were saying was it's 50-50, man, because I think Will and our buddy Donnie rolled a total of 15 times, probably involving like 25 dice because they were either two of these D8s or one D8, just rolling them and just failed every single roll, despite the fact that's a 50-50 success. And it was just like it was the point where like every time someone would roll, it's like 50-50, man.
I like to. They would ask us like, "Whose side are you on? Like, are you rolling for the vampires?"
Oh yeah, because
Because
Will was thinking, oh yeah, you should
yeah,
tell the story.
sure. He would tell it too, but so the way that game's enemies work is they're an AI, based on a dice roll, right? So you have a D12 that kind of tells you what they're gonna do. But some of them also have abilities where they'll reduce damage. Like the big ogres, they will sometimes shrug off damage you do to them, and they won't take as much to like a minimum of one damage, right? Which is annoying, but not the worst thing ever. The lesser vampires in that game, on a 9 up, they avoid damage entirely. They just ignore it. They just swiftly sort of get out of the way. And I think I rolled a 9 up for them easily 20 times.
Oh yeah.
Uh, that's like so many wasted turns in a game where like you're not likely to ever do more than 5 things on your turn. And if it gets really bad, you have far fewer actions to make use of. Those damned Virgos vampires were super quick. The game has legs, and the fact that like we benefited from doing a very risky mission, like because we did that mission, that's one less mission we need to do to level up those characters. So it's kind of cool how it works. Like you can make that game more challenging if you need to,
Yeah,
if you're so inclined.
and that's a good example or a good story to tell because that to me makes the game fun. Like this game is I forgot to mention this, but I had to leave early that night because I had other plans. But um compared to Gloomhaven, which is the game this is we compared to a lot because we played Gloomhaven not too long ago. Well, not super long ago, but generally speaking, not too long ago. Gloomhaven is very predictable. I mean, yes, it's a card deck system, but there's no like random like I ignore damage on like a 9 up kind of thing, right? Usually you can math out what you'll do and play it based on averages. But this game like the vampire ignoring like 6 attacks in a row from like 2 or 3 characters is very Warhammer, and part of why I like the game because it's just so stupid and frustrating, but it's also like it's Warhammer, which kind of kills the frustration. It's like, of course it's gonna happen. That's freaking hilarious. Like, of course he'll pass all his saves. Just roll sixes, man. He'll win the game. And that damn Virkos was rolling sixes until he finally killed him.
It's this may put viewers off or listeners off, but it's for a game that's set in a horrific vampire aristocracy city that's like haunted by every street corner and has like skeleton police officers. The game is surprisingly lighthearted to play. It's a very cooperative experience of just like let's see what happens. Like the random crises that can occur, the choose your own adventure aspect of the game. Um, like at one point, our buddy Donnie like ran into like, I think the text was like, you see a comical jester skipping along, unaware of the forces of the undead around him, and like he went to go help out the jester, and then got involved in like a knife fight with a vampire.
Yeah.
It was pretty amusing. That game, it's a shame it's not more widely available now, but I can only hope Games Workshop will find a way to release it again.
Yeah, there's a time where I was like some librarian asked me for help because he was having trouble, and it turns out he accidentally summoned a pink horror. I had to fight the pink horror and almost killed me.
That was awesome.
But yeah, great game. If you can find it, which you can, apparently Will found like 8 copies when he traveled home last weekend in NorCal. So it's
Yeah, a lot of local stores. I actually found out that was not an isolated incident. A lot of trade accounts have been getting extra copies of Cursed City in the past couple weeks. Trade account being like a sort of a local game store. So if you're looking for it, bust out the old phone book or Google it. Calling your local, you might be surprised. There's more of them popping up now. GW evidently tried to ensure that there was something of a second wave for independent game stores that expressed interest. So it doesn't alleviate the problem. It doesn't solve it doesn't solve the debacle, but like it's not too late just yet.
That's good. How close are you guys to finishing the campaign? Like, is it a long campaign or is it pretty short? Uh,
So
Obviously,
we
there's
are
choices.
so to fight Radukar, you got to get to level 4, and we have one character who's level 2.
How long have you guys been
Uh,
doing?
we've played. I think we've done 3 or 4, probably 4 sit downs. So we're probably a third of the way through.
Hmm.
On average, I've been hearing like if you play it, heading straight towards it, like um, it'll take about 12 missions to complete the game. But like we're starting to ramp up in power a little bit. So I imagine it'll probably take at least another 4 sit downs to get to fight Radukar. Maybe more, maybe less, depending on if we take higher risks. That was one of the reasons like we did that mission was like, hey, we'll have to play less missions if we do it this way, and if we succeed, and we narrowly did.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has a lot. It has a lot of meat. Um, it's it is definitely it definitely makes sense why people are up in arms about it because it's pretty much a quality product.
I definitely say it's a game. It's not. I don't think it's a game for people who only play board games, but it's definitely
Yeah.
a game for people who like Warhammer because it's very Warhammer. Like again, like I can imagine that vampire dodging everything thing would be very frustrating to someone who plays like Pandemic or like Seven Wonders on like a weekly basis or Catan, right? Um, because like to us, because we're used to that kind of like fun like pass all your saves kind of thing. That's super fun, but I can see that getting the game if you're expecting a robust board game, probably not going to get that. Um,
Yeah,
as a robust Warhammer board game, it's very robust and very fun.
yeah, and it's a good time. And my hobby rant was basically the same as that. That's what I got to do over the weekend. It was enjoyable. Looking forward to more.
Nice.
And you met?
Well, a little game came out called Resident Evil Village, so I kind of been playing that.
Yeah, I've heard that's awesome.
But I did manage to get a game of AOS in.
Oh,
Ah,
So my
was it?
old roommate is getting into it, so he invited me over for a game. So I did 1,000 points of Night Haunt versus Slaves of Darkness. So and yeah, it's been like 3 years since I played an AOS game, right? I'm pretty sure because I think the last time I played was back at the old GW, back when Will ran it. So it's been that long, and yeah, I had a lot of fun. And I think I'm gonna get a little bit more into AOS now.
it's going to be a good time to do so. Once that third edition comes out, I mean, the changes that they're making to like core battalions and stuff, it'll give a little bit more to dig into, even if you get nothing new. So yeah, it's I'm glad to hear that you had fun playing though. How did it turn out in the end? Were you victorious, or did they take your skull?
Yeah, we did like the first blood mission or whatever it's called. Uh, I won barely. He managed to kill. I managed to kill about like 60 wounds, and I think he killed about 45, 48 wounds of mine. So I got the minor victory in that. But what are you gonna do with a bunch of when you got 40 chain wraps against Nurgle Slaves of Darkness?
It's incredible what those haunted potato sacks can do against the forces of the chaos dimension.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is I killed more of my men than he actually killed of mine. So, because he ran Mark and Nurgle, which apparently any wound rolls of sixes that I do against him, I take a mortal wound. So I was losing quite a few ghosts each turn.
That's pretty funny.
How does the ghost contract the disease?
Magic.
Chaos.
As like magic, have like a that is that thinking about that in terms of narrative, like how does that happen?
I don't know, but that's the warp at work, right?
Because like a skeleton could get like some sort of marrow eating virus or something, but like how does the night hunt? Does the night hunt get ill? Unless Nurgle has like ghostly flies that bite them
They only by ghosts.
and they get ghost hepatitis.
Papa Nurgle,
Wow.
he likes to spread his gifts all around.
And he made something special for that battle. It seems.
There it goes, yeah. That was that. Hopefully, this week I'll meet up with my group, and we'll get some 40k games in, or some other board game, or Star Wars Legion. Who knows? I know my one of my friends, Paulo, really getting into it now. He made a Tatooine board,
Oh,
so
that's cool.
we'll probably play on that
That's
this
super
week.
cool. Always nice to have a thematic game table.
Yeah, just means now I'll probably have to maybe invest in an army instead of leeching off other people's stuff. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how my group takes the game. But yeah, that was that. You guys got anything else you want to add before we close out?
No, that's it. Hype for AOS is growing, especially with the new stuff coming in. Especially playing Cursed City, it's AOS, right? So that just makes me more excited with the new edition. Also something to mention. The AOS website was updated. We're getting an announcement the 25th. Sorry,
Mm,
29th of May.
yep.
Well, I would assume that'd be the 3.0, right?
Yep.
Because
Probably gonna
Well,
show the box, show the bad
yeah,
guys.
for the
like
bad guy.
uh like we discovered last week with the Warhammer Cafe thing, they're going to be playing 3.0 when they open up on the 12th.
That's right.
So it'll probably sell to the 29th, right? So that'll probably be pre-order day, if
Pretty
anything.
hype.
And then
Pretty hype.
I don't know. You think they'd do the 2-week pre-order deal?
They did before, so probably.
So
It makes sense.
all right, so then we can expect it on the 12th then, as they build up the hype and slowly roll out the rules that they think people would want to know.
Mm-hmm.
But okay then, so we got something to look forward to in 2 weeks for AOS. No, yeah, 2 weeks. But we're gonna call it there. Thanks for everyone for hanging out with us with our trash opinions, and we'll see you next time.
Let everyone.
Till next time.